staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And of course, to do this with me, to review the papers with me, is Etoma Edu. We'll just be looking through the papers this morning and just touching on one or two stories, of course. And we'll begin with the Nation newspaper. And the major story there says, Fubara, I'll obey Supreme Court's judgment. And the rider to that headline, Governor asks Council Chairman to hand over vacate office. Of course, we recall that the verdict came from the Supreme Court. That was on Friday, and reactions have been trailing that. A lot of persons were wondering what the governor was going to say, although we know that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter. And so Nigerians are waiting to see what the governor will say, knowing what had transpired before then. And he said, of course, although we do not agree with the judgment, we'll definitely give in to what the Supreme Court has said. And he went ahead to say that Council Chairman should hand over, vacate the office, and then he is going to ensure that the elections will, come up as at when due.
Yeah, I think that was the best and the most sensible thing to do as the leader of the government in Rivers State. Yes, you may not agree with the judgment, but it's the Supreme Court, and he went ahead and did it. But people in some quarters are saying, why did he concede so fast?
Really?
Maybe he has something under his sleeves or so.
Nigerians. What were they expecting him to do?
I don't know.
When the final arbiter has spoken.
Yes. But we've had cases where judgments come out and the people concerned do not obey the judgment. So maybe that's why a lot of people said, this guy considered so fast, and maybe he has something under his sleeves. And
it's under his sleeves.
The local government elections are organized by the state, and how soon is he going to organize the next election, taking into consideration the financial interpretation of running any election at all,
Seeing the Supreme Court has said that every allocation to the state be frozen as it is right now. So, they will have to wait to see what happens at the end of the day, because we'll be discussing this in detail later on. So I believe that the lawyers that will be coming will be telling us what the state can do in the interim as they move on. But let's quickly move to the Nigerian Tribune, which is our next paper this morning. And the major headline there is still looking at Fubara saying he will implement Supreme Court's verdict, orders local government chairman to hand over. And the writers there asks heads of local government areas to take over council administration. We have touched on that. And at the ear of the paper, we have NLC threatens mass action over telecoms electricity tariff hike, like we mentioned,
we mentioned that
earlier talking about this matter. And then this story is here, alleged sexual harassment. We have no petition against Akpabio. Senate is saying media aid faults Saraki. Another story here, Dangote to refund customers who purchase PMS above advertised rates from key partners. So, he reduced the rate by 65 naira. 65, so it means that if you purchased it above the now, I think 800 and something naira, he's going to return or refund you 65. What is above what he has benchmarked. I'm wondering how he's going to do that, because it will be good to see.
It's when anything that has to do with money in any organization has their records, So it's just pull out the records, and I know. In fact, they have already published the people they are going to do refunds to, and the amount involved, staggering 16 billion, or a little bit over 16 billion.
Interesting.
Will be refunded, and that is quite historical. Let me say, it's quite historic that something like that is happening in Nigeria. I guess Dangote is trying to stamp his feet in the oil market in Nigeria, and doing things like this it's thumbs up for him. I mean, everybody's
Absolutely.
applauding.
It means there's a structure in place. They have a database and all of that to be able to gather those names and ensure that they have their records.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, how sustainable is this going to be? Recall that he mentioned that this change or reduction in price that he gave is for the Ramadan season. And so I'm wondering, okay, are you going to do that within this period or afterwards? What is the end goal of all of this? He has stamped his name already by ensuring that he put up that refinery. That is certain. And so what he intends to build upon that is what I am looking forward to seeing. Perhaps writing his name in gold on the sands of time to say, you know what, I was able to be as transparent as possible in the dealings of matters around petrol and all of it.
Yeah, if you recall, there was this thing about NNPC fuel and Dangote fuel and all that So
you have to go there.
It's a PR thing.
At the end of the day, right?
It's a PR
you
thing.
finally agreed with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's quickly move on now. Another story: why I didn't implement 2014 confab recommendations. Former President Jonathan is quoted as saying that. Pays condolence visit to Ayo Adebanja's family. Atiku during visit says Adebanja's death a monumental loss. And another story here, new ATM fees, customers groan as banks begin implementation. Direct CBN to suspend ATM fee hike pending court verdict. Serap tells Tinubu the banks are quick to implement.
When it comes to price hike, you see the banks. It's so fast. But when it comes to price reduction, it's a different ballgame.
And that's the truth. Right, the next paper now is the Blueprint newspaper. And quickly on the front page, Akpabio Natasha feud. Senate tackles Saraki, vows not to reward falsehood. And the writers there, what we have is personal unsubstantiated claims. Deputy Whip, ACF, backs probe, Akwa Ibom Youth 1. All right, interesting developments with regards to this story. But since there are court matters coming in now, I wouldn't want to really touch on it. But I think that from my perspective, it is already taking away from the major issue, which has to do with constituency issues. These are personal issues that are now overriding constituency issues, and it has its attendant implication from my perspective.
Oh yes, it definitely is affecting the serious matters that are supposed to be looked into in the Senate. I just hope that they will be able to separate this personal thing from rubbing off negatively on the Senate proceedings.
All right, another story here quickly at the downstrip. We are committed to energy stability. That's what the NNPC is saying. FG, high-tech firm parked Lagos-Calabar Highway. It will attract FX. And at the downstrip World Cup qualifiers, Rwanda appoints Amrushi Gafar ahead Super Eagles clash. And at the top corner there, Ramadan NOA boss urges Nigerians to pray for peace, development. Some stories on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Next is the Punch newspaper, and it is looking at local government autonomy. Government agencies brainstorm as direct payment suffers setback. When the government talked about, let's local government autonomy, we are ready to go, we are good to go, and all of it, and the Supreme Court ruled on that. And all the governor says they were on all fours with regards to that ruling by the Supreme Government to ensure that local governments were autonomous. And here we are, bottlenecks here and there.
Well, we said something close to that earlier on, where most organizations in Nigeria are reactionary. They are not proactive. Okay, you already know that we are talking about local government autonomy. Why didn't you put the processes together before the announcement?
Right.
Yes, it should have been before the announcement, not after the announcement and supposed implementation. We start seeing one glitch here and another glitch there and so on.
But do these processes have to be so cumbersome, such that we cannot just pay these monies directly to these persons. That's the question some persons are asking. Why can't we make it as seamless as possible, such that these local governments can have their monies? I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult, should it?
You know, before, when the governors took over the administration of local governments, that was some years back, and the structure, the things the local government needed, and everything they are supposed to take into consideration to come to an agreement on how much this local government should have. These things have changed. All right. Now it's a new scenario. You have to take all those things into consideration, and you take the inflationary rate in the country and so many other parameters into consideration before doing that. Now, my argument is this. You know, these things exist. You know, you have to do this. You know, you have to do that. Why didn't you do it before the announcement? Only when you are supposed to implement it, you start saying, oh, we're having problems here, we're having problems there. We should just stop being reactionary and be proactive.
I like that. All right, another story here quickly is ATM loaded with cash as 100 naira withdrawal fee begins. Because over time, when you get to the ATM, you can't find money. You just wonder what's going on. And then you go to those people who you can withdraw monies from because you have to pay for it. They have monies and you're wondering, okay, so what's the issue? So to me, this was the plan all along. Let's increase the fee, and then we can now start loading the ATMs with monies. It's unfair to the average Nigerian.
And this is coming now that they have increased the charges, the POS charges, you know, has increased. And the Nigerians are saying, no, why this? And now it's ATM. Now you realize that any ATM you go to, you can actually vend money from it as against what it used to be.
All right. Let's quickly move on now to this Nigeria newspaper. This Nigeria newspaper, and on the front page, Nigerians decry death through wrong diagnosis. And the writer there, quackery, improper investigation, others responsible for misdiagnosis. President of resident doctors reveal citizens bemoan dearth of personnel, equipment, funding in public hospitals. This is quite worrisome, where you have people wrongly diagnosed of illnesses they do not have, and they begin to take medication that now complicate issues for them.
Medical issues are issues I feel for, because it's not as if you have a second take. You make a mistake, somebody will pay for it. So they should be more careful. We should have more professionals, and the medical association should screen their members as thoroughly before allowing them.
Their concern now is that a majority of those qualified personnel have left the country, the Japa syndrome. A lot of them are seeking greener pastures, and so there is a gap that has now given room for quackery, for those who are not qualified to now fill up. That is the concern, because you have a number of Nigerians who need medical attention, but if there is no experienced hands, what do? It's a sad commentary right now for our healthcare system as we speak. All right, we move quickly now to the Abuja Inquirer, and the major story there: FCTA multi-billion naira hospital rots away, Indians quit, scavengers take over. And that's the picture story there of the state of things. Unfortunately, it's a sad one. It's a sad one, really.
Yeah.
And then another story here quickly: FCT IRS generates 43.8 billion naira IGR in January. APC is determined to win Abuja. Mahmoud, those are some stories you find on the front page of the Abuja Inquirer. We move quickly now to the Guardian newspaper. 2025 budget, bloated 41 trillion naira revenue targets looks fresh, fiscal deficit concerns. And then you have the infographic there breaking down the 2025 budget overview. talk about expenditure at 54.99 trillion naira. There is a deficit of 13.39 trillion naira. Exchange rate 1,500. Just some breakdown there. You might want to pick up that paper to get more details. And of course, another story here. IBB's June 12 account, too little, too late. People might want to read that. Reactions are still trailing his statement. And June 12, Olanipekum berates Babangida for not apologizing to Obiola family Nigerians. So some stories on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Then we swiftly move to the front page of the Daily Trust. A protest in Jos over killing of truck drivers in Southeast. 20 killed, many vehicles burnt in 1 year. This is sad. My slain brother left behind 12 children. NURT W6 probe police mom is a sad one, really. It's
really sad. And that gentleman that said his slain brother left 12 children. Man, with everything that's going on, that's a lot of load.
Who takes care, proper care of
those
them.
Children?
Now, another story here. Bandits abduct 4 varsity students in Katsina. Really, really sad. Sirkin Sasa dies at 125, marking the other's mourn. May his soul rest in peace. At the downstream, massive job losses in Nigeria over USAID's funding freeze. Those were some of the concerns Nigerians raised. Okay, the next paper, which is the Sporting Live. The Sporting Live newspaper is the last paper here. And the major story here, Boniface teammate involved in scuffle after missing chance to score against Frankfurt. Alonso defense Nigerian says he was desperate to score. And then the story, Kasim Pasta 3, Galatasaray 3, Osimhen's brace not enough to secure win, but he made an effort, so he must be commended. Right, Welbeck fires the Seagulls into FA Cup quarterfinals, and those are some of the stories we can pick from the front page of the Sporting Life. Etoma, I believe that we have been able to update our viewers.
Oh yes, these stories are there. I would just go pick a paper and get to read the details.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, coming up on TVC Breakfast, what does the Supreme Court's verdict on Rivers State mean, and are there implications